He's not a bat, he's a man who fights crime. And we're gonna watch him fight for a minute at a time. With John and Niall and a guest who doesn't rhyme. It's Bat Minute! Hello, citizens of fair Gotham. Welcome once again to Bat Minute and Robin, the show that loves you. Not... I am the host that loves you, John Parker. Not!
You're not John Parker.
Well, I was debating where to put the not. Maybe I am not John Parker. All this time I've been lying to you.
It kind of makes it sound more like a Wayne's World thing you're doing now, though. Like, not.
That was the idea. But I didn't want to do that voice.
But I am the man who is just sitting here and praying. It's me. Oh, my God.
Oh, a man of faith.
Yeah? No? Well, going through this movie minute by minute, it'll do a lot of things to you. It's turned me to religion.
Well, please don't say you've started a strange cult that you're going to try and rope me into.
It's the Church of Ivy.
Are you going to poison the Vichyssoise?
I mean, that is an idea I have now.
God damn it. Never feed me again. But we are joined once more by our very special guest. It's Claire York.
Hello.
Hey, the Rat Queen. Which sounds like an insult. It's not.
Not in my opinion.
No, it's fools who don't understand. But we are here to talk about minute 117. The minute starts with a glow up, and it ends with a glow down. Kind of.
It's weird though. The opening talking about things glowing down. It is weird that like they plug in the thing to the drip. And there was a bright light behind them, and then that fades away to atmospheric lighting of just the blue neon is lit up now, as if like Dick Grayson was over by the dimmer switch. Just like, oh, okay.
Well, part of medicine is the theatrics. So
theatricality and deception.
Yeah, you've got to instill a certain mindset into people in order for the brain to help them get cured.
I thought it was just Bruce is just like, you know how the rich stay rich? We count the pennies, get the light turned off. We don't need it.
This wasn't just my dad, was it? Anytime you'd leave a light on when you left the room, you get shouted at.
Oh, yeah. There's people our age now I know who have become dads, and they just do it now. Like, it is a thing. It's like when you go in the house and you just see, like, just a door line open and the light on, no one's in there. It's like, oh, what the hell is this? Come on.
Yeah, that was my dad. Or if you touched the thermostat.
Yeah.
It's like, how dare you turn it up by 1 degree?
Who's in here? The Invisible Man? Come on.
Oh, I used to get in so much trouble for the lights. Oh, my God. Yeah. Like, what are you doing? Why is this light on? You're costing me money. I'm costing you like half a penny an hour or something. Come on.
Although it's like... because we do know that they just left those scorching satellites on that was, shooting the sun's rays directly onto the city. It could be they've gone back to the house now to do this. And like someone else has had to, like, the light outside was like, oh yeah, the sun was still out because they just left it that way. As finally the police got in, they're like, shut off the satellites for the love of God.
I love the idea they've just not turned it off and forgotten. And the beam just blasts through Wayne Manor and kills Alfred anyway.
Yeah, picturing like with a magnifying glass, when they used it on sunlight and it's like killing the ants. It's sort of like that kind of situation.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel bad that as a kid I did do that. I feel terrible these days as an animal rights person.
Yeah. But yeah, just imagine though in the background just hearing the screeching cars and people screaming. It's like, turn the sun off.
Bruce is like, oh crap.
Yeah, he was so busy thinking about Alfred that he hasn't thought about that.
Yeah, it's just cooking everyone alive.
I was a bit worried about Alfred because if he does wake up, he's gonna be blinded. That friggin' blue light, like have an epileptic fit with this like blue flashing light now in his face.
Oh,
It's like, yeah, it's atmospheric looking, but like just keep the big light on so it doesn't have as much of an effect on him if he was to regain consciousness.
he doesn't need the big light. It cost him money again. Jesus.
Yeah.
That's where the other vial is. It's being used to light the room, elsewhere.
Oh my God. That's what it is. Amazing.
Does someone hang around though to change the medicine? I mean, if he has to be plugged in, and he does have to plug another one in at some point.
That's a good point. Yeah, like what? He didn't give them enough info again. Is it 2 at the same time? Is it 2 like 6 hours apart? What's the situation with the administration here?
So he only plugs one of them in as well.
Yeah.
So is it 2 straight in a row? As soon as that one's gone, put the other one straight in again, or yeah. There was no information. Like I think that's why Bruce is just like, pray. Because I don't know what else we're supposed to do.
Exactly. I'm going to go for IV drip. We'll hope for the best.
That seems like the right thing to do, I guess. Thoughts and prayers, everyone.
That's why I still feel this movie, instead of called Batman and Robin, should have been called Batman IV. Because then that's Batman 4, poison ivy's in it, and it's also the IV in the movie as well. So it's thematically, it's beautiful. You never. How often does that come up in life? An opportunity like that.
Hey, Hollywood has a history of screwing this stuff up. Lately, the new Scream movie.
Yeah.
At 5 cream, as I know it as.
And then they try to make a joke in the movie about like reboots that are just called the same thing as the original one. But just because you make that joke, it's not even. It's just observing that it happens. Is like I don't forgive you for like
You've still done it.
I love Scream 5, but it's like I still have a problem with it being called Scream. Like it still really bugs me that you didn't try to differentiate. Call it like Scream Echo or something.
But
just
the title's
just call
right
it
there.
Echo.
Make the S the 5.
I think because they did it with Scream 4, they're like, we can't do that again.
Why not? It's supposed to be cheesy.
But I feel now, though, apologies are in order for
this entire show.
Yes, of course, this entire show. But no, I think way back at the end of Batman Returns, we had a whole thing like, the only time in these movies you see Bruce Wayne in the bat suit with the cowl off is at the end of that when he rips it off to talk to Catwoman. And we had a whole thing, it's because of a massive, massive continuity error of he doesn't have the raccoon eyes that you would have. Like we talked about it, because it was just like, why just give him the raccoon eyes? I know it'll be weird because he played Beetlejuice and he had the same thing, so maybe that's what they're like. Oh, they'll remind people too much of that if he has black makeup around his eyes. But like they cut to him like has black makeup around the eyes, rips off the thing. And even before he rips it off, you can see that they've taken the makeup off to make the transition more seamless. But in this scene, we do have Bruce Wayne in the bat suit with his cowl off, and you can see that he's kind of quickly rubbed the makeup off his eyes.
I like that. Yeah, and usually when you get in late at night, you've been out, you've had makeup on for some reason, you can't be bothered to take it off properly. You just whack it off as quick as you can, and you wake up in the morning and you look like a panda.
Yeah, you whack it off as quick as you can, do it, John?
Yeah, well.
But yeah, I did think that was a nice touch, though, that it looked like they had sort of rubbed it off a bit with their hands or whatever, just quickly gone like, smudged it off. Especially like Dick looks more so, and then Batgirl, she's just left it on.
She looks kind of cool.
But she's got changed, so she's like prioritized getting into some sweatpants or whatever over taking the makeup off.
Hey, that's relatable to me. The makeup can wait. You wanna get out of those clothes and put on something comfy.
I don't know, because I was wondering too, like if it's just like, well, like Alicia Silverstone just probably just wanted out of that suit as quickly as possible. So, but I'm wondering now because he has a big like wet patch on her, the gray sweatshirt. I'm wondering if that's sweat or if it's water from like splashing the makeup off.
Oh, I assumed it was sweat, but yeah, maybe because once you're over the sink and
yeah. Although she's kept the beauty mark, so they're probably still like, who is this lady in here? It's like she rubs that off, like, oh, Barbara, you're here.
There you are.
Oh my God, I wondered what happened to you.
Yeah. But do have to point out, though, as alluded to earlier in the week, the shot of Dick and Barbara together. Anyone notice anything very blatantly wrong in terms of continuity?
Oh, hang on. I'm looking at it right now. Is it something obvious that I'm missing? 'Cause to be fair, I'm very distracted because she it looks sort of dishevelled, but in a very sexy way. So I'm a bit distracted.
No, that's the Joel Schumacher way. This is like everyone's got to be beautiful all the time, even when they're supposed to be, rubbing off their makeup and looking a wreck. They still look good.
Yeah,
we'll talk about later in this very minute the same thing. But
that's true. I'm probably missing something really obvious here.
I feel like that too.
Well, the thing is, last time we saw Robin, they were all in the ice suits with the silver symbols.
Oh.
And now Robin's gone back and for some reason changed into his other Robin outfit where he's got the red crest again.
Oh my God, yeah. Well, maybe
the red breast, I should say.
The other one was too sweaty, but he still wants to maintain a certain presence.
He wants to look like he's just rushed up there because he really likes Alfred, but actually he was like, I need to put the other suit on because I look way hotter in that one. I'm still trying to impress Barbara, so.
Well, that's the thing now. He's like, she's seen me in the Robin suit. She thinks I'm buff.
Exactly. So like my butt is particularly clenched in that other one,
So I can't let her see me like a normal shirt again. She's going to think
Ever
like
again.
I'm not. It's like George Michael in Arrested Development where he's wearing like that, when he's dressed up as God for that painting. He's just going around with the big muscle suit. The rest of he's like, well, I can't let people like now maybe thinks I'm that muscular all the time.
She likes a man whose nipples are pert 24/7.
Yeah, but that is just like it's a massive continuity. Like, I'm assuming it was just that this was all filmed out of order. They probably didn't have the other suits made.
Well, we might have known some information if Joel Schumacher hadn't dipped out of the commentary track.
I mean, like now, like you could have been like, oh, I should have mentioned that. Oh well, I'm gone.
That's why he dipped out.
That's why he did it. Exactly. Yeah.
You're like, I don't know, but the thing is, he spends so much of the commentary just admitting his mistakes. He's like, I can't do another one. Like, you've broken me already. I can't say that something else I got wrong. But yeah, that one is like it's one of those ones like when you take you ages to notice it, but when you do see it, you can't unsee it. That like he's wearing the wrong damn suit.
You've ruined the movie.
Unless this is supposed to be like days later, and they're only now getting around. Like Bruce had to go down and examine the stuff.
No, the implication's definitely that they've come straight out, and that's why they got the smudgy makeup.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they all be clean and nice, wouldn't they? Straight out the shower.
And even like Barbara's hair's a little bit frizzy, as if she's got changed and she hasn't done her hair again. And they've come straight from the scene.
They almost could have like given her a wet wipe to be like wiping her face while they're doing it,
Yeah. With a lovely coconut infusion.
Yeah.
Yeah. But of course then Dick this is his moment apparently now that they're almost curing Alfred. It's like, I'll go in for a little side hug here. This is the right time to pull something like this.
Yeah. She's not feeling vulnerable at all here. It's not taking advantage of someone.
And to be fair to Barbara too, her face kind of like it's either one of mourning for Alfred or it is a.
He should have.
You can read it either way, quite frankly.
He should have done the typical incel tactic of the hover hand. Where he puts his arm around her, but not quite. He doesn't touch it.
Yeah. This is like, we should take a photo. Like, hey, I didn't touch you. What are you talking about? Yeah. I think all those photos of Keanu Reeves at conventions. And stuff,
he always
never
does
touching.
the hover hand, doesn't he?
It's just like this man's a master at it. He knows you're never going to catch out Keanu.
Yeah.
I love that he's that respectful. He's like, I'm not even going to tempt fate.
Yeah.
He's the best.
But
everyone loves Keanu. I've never heard a single bad word about him. I'm sure there's someone out there who doesn't like him. Everybody has some dickhead enemy.
I remember once on Patti Smith's Instagram, she put a dedication to him, and it was just seemed so random. It was like, okay, well, love it, but random, yeah.
I guess he's that cool a person. Even Patti Smith has to, put it out there.
Exactly. Shout out to Keanu.
So I hate to break it to Matt Reeves, though. Probably thinks he's breaking new ground with the Robert Pattinson raccoon eyes. Nope. But turns out Joel Schumacher did it first.
But not to the same degree. Yeah, it's not as full on.
The Pattinson one, they're really leaning into the emo-ness of it, it seems.
Definitely.
Like, I'm sure they probably, no, he's not emo, but it's like, they look so emo, guys. Like, at least unflop his hair if you're going to do it that way. But... but of course, then we cut to good old Arkham Asylum. Like we thought we saw the last of it, but no, it's here for 2 more minutes.
Hey,
A beautiful, like very blatantly a model, but a beautiful model.
It's only a model.
This is sheer exhaustive amount of grotesques placed around it. It's like, do you really need that many?
Niall. Listeners to the show know how much we love grotesques. How dare you say that? How dare you? The more grotesques, the better.
It does kind of add to the fact that the grotesque was supposed to ward off evil spirits and ward off evil, to scare it away. So it's like, every angle of Arkham has to be like, oh, don't take any risks. You want to make sure nothing comes near this thing.
That makes me think, though, that their sort of view of mental health is very backward and Victorian, which you could argue it is anyway, because Arkham itself is a very Victorian asylum. Even using the word asylum. But the fact that they think mental illness is caused by evil spirits, to put grotesques on the asylum, that's a very backward way of thinking.
But then cutting to the interior, when we see where good old Poison Ivy is still here.
Yet again, though, I think she's supposed to look dishevelled, but come on, she looks hot.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Talking about emo and goths and stuff, this is just like, that's goth beauty.
Yeah.
What she's got going on.
And her hair's a different colour, so it's like she's had a little hair dye moment.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Has the character dyed it, or is this some kind of weird, like plants change colours throughout the seasons?
Yeah,
is it like a
maybe
transformation?
it's supposed to be a thing like that.
I think this is supposed to be, because we know that throughout she had an evolution throughout the movie, where when she was reborn as Poison Ivy, she was wearing like a brown shirt, and she was like kind of, the hair was just down, very natural looking, was bright red, but it was very natural looking. And she looked like she just freshly sprouted out of the ground. She's covered in soil and stuff. And as she went on, like she had the green things over her eyes and then turned, amber and then fell off, like, going through the seasons.
That's
and
true.
As she grew, she went from having like a green bodice, then kind of normalish hair, to more flamboyant hair that were giant buds. And then, but the last time we saw her, it was all red and she had like massive, trestles of hair coming down.
Was the summer.
Yeah. And this is supposed to be, as Mr. Freeze will say in the next minutes, winter is coming at last. This is her withered, and this is her now dying, basically, which is weird because like the hair color still looks pretty cool, but like I don't know, I would have gone for more of a kind of washed out white or something.
Make it gray.
Yeah, something. It just kind of still looks like that's a pretty cool hair color she's got going on.
Maybe it's not death though. It's like dormancy,
Well, that's the thing. A lot of plants, well, people say that they're not actually dying.
Exactly.
They're kind of retreating.
But yeah, that actually really reminds me of, we probably would have been out the same year as this. I think it was 97. Was one of my early crushes when I was a kid. One of the first things I'm like, oh, I think I'm feeling something here, was in the movie Good Burger with Keenan and Kel.
Which one? Keenan or Kel?
No, both of them.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
In that regard, I was imagining myself in a Keenan and Kel sandwich.
No.
No.
I could see. Kel's a handsome dude. Yeah.
Oh, well, you said Keenan's not?
No offense to Keenan. But
Throwing shade. Oh, my God.
Sorry, Keenan.
There's a bit, of course, Good Burger also stars Robert Wuhl, our beloved Knox. But no, there's a bit, I don't know how much of the plot of Good Burger you guys remember. But.
Well, I watched it probably every week for a year as a kid, and I still don't remember most of the plot. I remember bits of the plot.
Well, there's a bit where... Sorry, maybe you know. Have you memorized Good Burger, Claire?
I have not memorized it. I have seen it, but yeah, a long time ago.
But there's a bit where they get sent. Well, Kel gets sent to a mental asylum. They rig it. The rival burger place makes it look like those guys are nuts, so they can steal the formula or something.
Could a burger shop get you committed?
Yeah, it's a ridiculous movie anyway. But it's some crap like that. Like, yeah, their burger formula has been stolen by the rivals, and in order to cover their tracks, they've had Kel sent to a mental asylum. And in there, he meets a young Linda Cardellini, who is like a full blown, like, supposed to be like a crazy psychopath, But she looks exactly like this. The same exact hair and the same kind of disheveled clothing and stuff, and almost the same kind of makeup and stuff. But because it's Linda Cardellini, of course, played Velma in the Scooby-Doo movies, Lindsay Weir from Freaks and Geeks and go on now. She's in freaking Hawkeye, all this stuff.
See, I only know her from Scooby-Doo, and she looks amazing in Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, but she beloved actress, Linda Cardellini, seems to now be gathering strength as she goes on. She was in ER for a bit, actually, as well, appropriately enough.
Same time as Clooney?
No, I think it was post Clooney. I think it was like he was been gone at that point. It was like in the mid 2000s, so he definitely would have been gone by that point.
Oh yeah, he was gone. He was probably gone not long after this.
Yeah, this might have been like the end of VR for Clooney. Maybe he made it to like 99, maybe, but yeah, I just remember when I was a kid, been like, I really like the look of this girl with this crazy hair and stuff, and gone on to be a guy into like goth sensibilities and stuff. It was an early indicator of when I was 10 years old in the cinema watching Good Burger, like, oh, I like the look of this lady. And plus the fact too is, it's Linda Cardellini. Is like, oh, to this day, I'd fall on my sword for Linda Cardellini any day of the week. So
I would for Uma. Uma's one of mine. I mean, this movie in particular. Oh.
I was a bit weirded out here because she's doing the classic, he loves me not, all this business. And this is a direct reference to the comics as well, where actually one we mentioned in particular, Legends of the Dark Knight 42, the story Hot House by John Francis Moore.
That makes me think one of my favourite bands, the World Inferno Friendship Society, have a song called Hot House Flowers, which makes you think of Ivy now.
There's a Northern Irish band called the Hot House Flowers as well. So, yeah.
I wonder, is it a phrase?
Apparently it is. Oh. Yeah. I think it's just like, I think the hot house flowers are like, it's just basically they'll wither and die very easily. If you let if the temperature drops at all, they just go. But yeah, so that was that story, Hot House. I was mentioned that like so much of Batman and Robin, the Poison Ivy element, so much of it is taken from that comic. Although that's a very dark, serious comic line, the Hot House story. Really great. If you're going to read any Poison Ivy story, I'd recommend Hot House. But yeah, that ends with Ivy sitting, like her arm comes out the window of the, Arkham, picks a flower, and she starts doing, he loves me not, and stuff. Well, I don't know where this flower has come from, though.
I reckon, do they just let her have a flower? See, my question is, who's she talking about? Is she talking about Freeze?
That's the implication, isn't it? I mean, there's no other love interest.
That's the confusing thing, though. It's like, there's no other love interest.
Unless she's just doing it as a thing to stave off the boredom, and she's just doing it for like in general.
I don't know. It's too deliberate. But at the same time, like, I never got the impression she loved Freeze. Like, maybe she thought he was fit, But did she? She did
say he was a god, didn't she?
Yeah.
Rather than a man, because she sort of hated. And so that she was putting him above.
But that still felt very physical, rather than "I love you," which is that's like another level, isn't it?
I thought it was because he could resist her pheromones and stuff, though, couldn't he? So she couldn't influence him in that way. She had to influence him in other ways.
She was definitely intrigued by that because all other men just fall at her feet.
Yeah,
exactly.
Whereas he's like, oh, you don't? Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, therein lies the game, kind of thing.
Yeah, I still don't think she was taking it seriously. I don't think it's like, full love or death kind of feelings.
Well, especially because Freeze never once showed interest in her. I think I've brought up on the show before, it's very much like Sweeney Todd. The way Mrs. Lovett is very much into Sweeney, and he's just like, who are you?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, it's more like, so, like, we know that they made a whole joke of it in, like, the Harley Quinn TV show and stuff, that you can't put in plant life with Poison Ivy because she controls the plants. So they have, like, riots occur. Like, the opening episode, a riot occurs because someone, like, brings in, like, a little cactus or something for their dad, like, during visiting hours, and they're like, holy crap, it's a plant! And, like, all the guys are freaking out, and then Ivy instantly takes over it and just, like, starts destroying the whole asylum and stuff.
Oh, is it with, like, the needles on it?
Yeah. I can't remember. It's been a while since I've seen it, but I'm not too sure if it's a cactus or just some like a little flower. But like basically, ivy causes a whole giant riot and a massive panic because some kid brought in a gift for their dad.
Hey, this is where you do a crossover. The kid brings in a Venus flytrap. She controls it and turns it into Audrey from Little Shop of Horrors. Audrey 3.
Yeah. And there's another episode too where they have a flashback to another riot, and somebody brought like live lettuce in to the canteen, and that Ivy was able to use that to like escape and stuff as well. So.
Lettuce.
Yeah, live lettuce, and that was enough for Poison Ivy to be like, all right, I'm out of here.
So was it iceberg or was it like a different? I'm more into romaine.
Yeah, tragically, it doesn't get. They don't specify what type.
I'm a big fan of romaine or sweet gem. Although every time I say romaine now, I think of Nicki Minaj because she's like got that lyric about eating ass like romaine.
The romaines of the day. But yeah, this flower though, it's like I wonder, did they bring it in to her? Has she grown it herself? Is this like she's so beaten down, the only thing she can grow is this little tiny flower? But we saw her earlier in the movie growing plant life. But it seemed to be from some sort of like decked out seeds she had. And she was sprinkling some kind of magic dust as well. Like maybe the dust made the seeds decked out and that was what made them... Like, can Ivy just grow plant life by like sprinkling something from her hand? And this is currently all she can do is grow this little flower.
Oh, that would
that's
be
what
cool.
I feel like, because we've already said she's kind of dormant or whatever, so maybe that's all the power she's got right now. But I did think the room itself of the cell, I'm like, well, if she gets like stronger again, I think you guys are in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah. She can break out of that in a heartbeat.
It would be great if it was the same room that Mr. Freeze was in previously. And they've just got like a big boarded up wall, like hole in the wall in the background.
Well, it's funny you say that, Niall, because Freeze might be involved soon.
Oh, it's the same room that like Two-Face broke out of at the start of the Batman Forever.
Every villain is in this room. That'd be great.
Arkham Asylum's giant building only has the one cell.
Yeah. It's like the penthouse, isn't it? It's the penthouse room.
I would love it. Every villain from every movie is in this room. And the final scene is them all making a pact to take down the Bat.
The Riddler's hopping around here in the background somewhere too. Like, I'm Batman.
We should team up.
That's a question though, in talking about Ivy thinking that Mr. Freeze is fit. One of the questions we've been asking this season, Claire, is because they seem to posit that Arnie is like sexy in this. Like, and I think Arnie thinks of himself as being very sexy, but like, has he ever like ran your motor at all? Have you ever been like, ooh, Arnie? Like, or is it just a no?
No, I appreciate him in a lot of ways, but I've never fancied him. But I'm not really into big muscles.
Yeah.
My exception to that is Henry Cavill, just because he's amazing.
Well, he seems like a cool guy.
Exactly. Like he's a nerd, you know? He gets maximum points for that, and he's got a very pretty face.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I don't know. Let me throw this out there, right? Okay. Vin Diesel, right?
Right.
Not your type at all, but he's a giant nerd who plays Dungeons and Dragons.
He is a nerd, yeah, but I still don't think I'd fancy him. There's something missing there.
Yeah.
People forget how nerdy he is. They think, oh, he's cool. It's like, he's a geek.
Yeah. He's a guy, he landed out in Hollywood to be a screenwriter. That was his original intent.
Well, yeah, because didn't he do Boiler Room?
Yeah.
That's
so
a
he's
good
like,
movie. Yeah.
He was like, he was a guy like, I'm going to be the guy behind the guy, but now he is the guy. So, yeah.
I do appreciate Vin Diesel as well, to be fair. Like as like in the stuff in the films he's done, I appreciate him.
Yeah. To be honest, most people are on your side, though. We haven't had many people into Arnie. I think if you're into him, which is great, that's cool. You know, you've got to be into a very specific.
I don't think we've had anyone who said yes to. We had people saying yes to Jack Nicholson. I don't think anybody has said yes to Arnie.
If I was ever going to fancy Arnie in anything, it would probably be Kindergarten Cop.
Oh, okay.
Is it because he's showing a nurturing side?
Maybe it is that he brings that extra level of seeming quite sweet, and how he is with the woman and the kids, and I don't know, there's something there, but still don't fancy him. But if I was gonna, it would be in Kindergarten Cop.
Okay, I like that.
There you go.
Because I don't know, it's you've got to really be into muscles. You've got to be like crazy into them.
But what I will say for Henry Cavill, I didn't get him until he made that. He was Sherlock Holmes in that thing, the Enola Holmes.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing him in that. I was like, oh, that guy he's like poured into that suit. Like, it's like, I was probably like, oh, fuck, Henry Cavill is hot. Like, I never really noticed it before.
You were a Timothy Oliphant man before then.
Yeah. And now it's just like, people are going on about Cavill. I was like, okay, yeah, I get it. But then like now I was like, oh, no. Like, if he showed up in like that tweed, frock coat at the front door, I'd be like, oh, hello, Mr. Holmes.
Did you not like him as The Witcher?
No. No, I didn't like The Witcher in general.
Oh, okay. I think it's overrated, but I like it.
Of course, though, He Loves Me, He Loves Me Not, though, it's looked briefly into the origins of this. Oh. And it's one of these things that's like, yeah, it's French in origin. It dates sometime from the 1800s, and it was just like, they just kind of noted down, it's like, oh, it was a childhood game. And it used to be, the actual original thing was, it was like, you would playfully say, instead of He Loves Me Not, it would be He Loves Me Lots. It was always that he always loves you. Like, that's the thing. So,
but how much?
But then it's some, cultural, globalization or whatever. It got changed into He Loves Me Not.
It was probably the English getting hold of it and making it miserable, like everything we do.
This game's too happy for us.
Yeah.
But Joe, we'd have to misery this writer.
We've got to be sad all the time.
He Loves Me, He Loves Me Not. The first time I was ever indicated in any form of media was in the play Giselle, which is a French play from 1842. Oh. And as well, it's a ballet, apparently. And when you think of ballet, you wouldn't have any talking in it. But
I don't know. Maybe back in the day, it was more like an all-encompassing theatrical kind of. Maybe there were scenes where you weren't just dancing and stuff.
It's based on Victor Hugo's Phantoms from Les Orientales. Brief summary is the ghost-filled ballet tells the tragic romantic story of a beautiful young peasant girl who falls for the flirtations of the deceitful and disguised nobleman Albrecht. When the ruse is revealed, the fragile Giselle dies of heartbreak, and Albrecht must face the otherworldly consequences of his careless seduction. So it actually sounds like a pretty good story, to be fair. It's like there's ghosts in it. All right, I'm in.
If there's ghosts, I'm happy to watch. Yeah.
I was looking to see if there was any movie adaptations made of it. I was like, no, it just seems to exist as a ballet.
Well,
maybe it's because it's so old. But then, like freaking Sherlock Holmes is old. They're still making things out of that. So,
well, listeners, if you give us enough money on the Patreon, we'll make our own version.
But yeah, apparently throughout the ballet at one point, He Loves Me, He Loves Me Not is first presented in a form of media, and that's where people, I don't know, they just caught on with everyone then. And the thing is, though, Ivy starts to eat the flower, which I don't know if this is revenge for that flower that ate her. Or whatever.
Hey, flowers are tasty. I am big into flowers in food, because I like Turkish food and things like that. Rose petals. Rose petals.
Oh, go eat some flowers, John. This explains your mysterious trip to Holland.
Oh, well,
my secret shame.
It's not my shame. I'm proud. Screw you, Homo.
We finally tuning into your Twitch channels as you go, just eating daffodils on screen.
Hey, you know what? I haven't gone on Twitch in a long time. I might do it and just sit there eating flowers and see what happens. Why not?
Maybe it can help give her more power or something, but it does sort of seem like, isn't that kind of like cannibalism for her?
That's the weird thing. Yeah, like why would she eat flowers? Is it gonna? Maybe it regains her power. It's a bit like those, old tribes who thought, well, if you eat a man, you gain his strength. I think, didn't the Zulu do that to the British? They would eat the bodies, and the British were like, this is the most disgusting thing in the world. But to the Zulu, that was actually like almost like an honor. Like, oh, well, we think so highly of you that we want to take your strength into us.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it could replenish Ivy's. Consider like maybe through the cracks in the floor, she managed to grow a flower. And then by eating it, that adds into her power. It's like, that makes sense to me. Like, it was hers.
And then she goes to the toilet, pops out a few seeds.
And then the cycle continues.
Exactly.
pile that up in the corner when Freeze is having to be like, oh my God, this is disgusting.
It's like The Martian all over again.
Yeah. And she's like, oh, you're just jealous, Freeze, just because you can't poop. I totally gave Batman my colostomy bag, though. He bought it.
What would Freeze poop look like?
I assume like an iceberg or something. You just know he must be constipated as all hell. They're trying to push something out there.
Plus, he's Austrian. When I went to Germany, I still ate meat, and oh my God, yeah, I couldn't go to the toilet for days.
What does he eat? Does he eat ice as well, or does he have to eat normal food?
Good
So
question.
no, in the Harley Quinn cartoon, which is great, I highly recommend it. But they have a whole thing where they go to dinner with Mr. Freeze, and he's just sitting next to them, creeping them out, going like, describe the taste for me. Because he doesn't eat anymore. He doesn't need to. So he's just like, oh, I missed the taste of food.
I like the idea that it's not even that he doesn't need to eat. It's that maybe his taste buds don't even work because they're frozen.
Yeah. Yeah. It would be like a miserable eating. It was like I was eating for sustenance, and then he could be literally get it, and then I can imagine a lot of stuff froze off down there.
Oh.
So I think he's probably he might legitimately have a kind of, like an inbuilt bedpan scenario going on or something. It's
tubing.
Yeah, I think it's complicated down in the freeze crotch there.
Are we creeping into Hedwig and the Angry Inch territory?
Hedwig, Freeze, Victor, and the Frozen Inch.
Oh, yes. Let's make a T-shirt, a crossover T-shirt for both of the Sleepy Charlie media shows.
As the musical he starts writing in his cell. Him and Ivy come up with a musical together. Yeah.
I did feel a bit like maybe they felt what else could they say about her now she's in prison? It's like, oh, she's focusing on a guy, of course. What else do women do with their time?
Yeah, that's the thing with the character, isn't it? It's like she starts off strong and powerful. She hates men, but ultimately, how does she end up like this? That's kind of sad.
I don't even think because her overwhelming attraction to Freeze is one of her big character notes. I don't think I think she just sort of dismisses men as just like, oh, this is a thing I can use. I don't even feel it comes across as like any kind of hatred of them. It's just more of like, it's not like a Catwoman thing where you really got the vibe.
Well, it's like 50% of the way to Catwoman.
She was like, it wasn't like a real she starts off, the whole thing was supposed to be against Wayne Enterprises, and then she kind of drops it very quickly.
Well, she mentions hating mammals and stuff as well, so I think it's a more species thing rather than male, like gender or anything,
Yeah.
But she does have a strange trend for attacking men.
The one time we ever got her talking to a woman in it was cut out of the movie where she attacks Elle McPherson by saying, like, if I looked at like Miss July over here, would you give me some more time? Which is kind of like going like, well, this lady, this woman she's only here because she's good looking, kind of thing, which isn't very feminist in its own way. It's kind of dismissing the other woman in the room by being like, well, she's hot, that's why you got her here.
Well, that's the big argument with this character, though, isn't it? Is she feminist? Is she not?
Like, well, how do you feel about the portrayal of Poison Ivy in this movie, Claire? Like, do you find her to be like in any way an empowering character? Like, even Poison Ivy in general?
Yeah, in some ways, because she is kick-ass, and she's cunning and everything like that. And when she turns up, still being the doctor and is talking to them, and they don't take her seriously. And before she goes full crazy sounding, you can see she's intelligent. So I think there is a feminist element. I mean, it's difficult to avoid if there's a woman there. There's going to be a feminist element, whether they want to admit it or not. But yeah. It's a complicated one, isn't it?
Whose side were you on when Batgirl was kicking butt and then had that whole, like, using your feminine wiles to get ahead, trading on your good looks, read a book, sister? Like, did that scene evoke anything in you of like an eye roll, or were you like, meh?
It did a little bit, but when it's made, so it's not surprising. That's sort of standard in until fairly recently, and even now.
That's the thing. They're trying so hard to be like girl power that Batgirl will gladly put down another woman for essentially just being sexy. That's kind of going against the girl power thing.
But bear in mind that we're sort of having to fight a few thousand years of being taught that we should compete with each other.
Yeah.
Rather than coming together as women. So it's not surprising that it's hard to get past. When you're pissed off, it's going to come out in particular,
Yeah. And even Batgirl herself is in the skin-tight rubber and the high heels, and it's like, that's all very sexy in itself as well.
Well,
like,
especially
what's
the
this
addition of the heel. You're right. Like, because Batman doesn't have a heel.
Yeah, the heel bugs me.
I can get that, because surely all that does is hinder the fighting?
It's like every time she would do a landing, I was always more impressed. It's like, on those heels, that's like, that's really, really risking your neck there.
Yeah.
It goes so. What do you think of Alicia Silverstone in this movie, Claire? That she, I don't know, because you're obviously like ourselves, a child of the '90s. Do you have like an affection for her as being like, well, that's Cher Horowitz? And
yes,
stuff.
I love Clueless, so she'll always have my heart for that. But she's fine in this film. There's not a problem with her, but there's not the same spark necessarily that I come to associate with her. But that's partly down to scripting and stuff, because bear in mind, there's quite a few good actors in this, but they're not necessarily doing their best work, are they?
Yeah. Like, we've had other people who've been sort of like, oh, what if like Fairuza Balk played Batgirl, or what if Christina Ricci played Batgirl? I was like, it'd probably be the same result. Like,
absolutely, yeah.
Exactly. I love Fairuza Balk as well.
Yeah. Although I think we ended up saying there's no way she could pass herself off as like an innocent schoolgirl, because it's Fairuza Balk.
No, it's still going to be like The Craft, isn't it? You know, like
she's always edgy. She's always punky.
Even as a kid, she still has something. Even in Return to Oz, she's still like, there's something off about that girl.
Yeah. She's not quote normal.
Yeah. There is a part of me that would have loved to have seen, because they did have it even back then. They had the Ivy Harley pairing. Like they weren't a couple yet, but like they were like a duo. People thought of like, oh, Harley and Ivy. And if they had like a Fairuza Balk Harley Quinn and this Poison Ivy in the sequel, that would have been something to see.
Yeah, that's worth watching.
Yeah, that is like something I would almost friggin' make a fan comic just to try to show like, well, what would that have looked like to get the two of those guys together and do that.
Hey, well, DC are doing loads of weird comics at the moment. See our one that we reviewed on the Patreon, written by Danny DeVito.
Oh God, yeah.
I think the only time we've talked about Fairuza Balk though was when we were reviewing The Island of Dr. Moreau.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Which I genuinely liked, listeners. I didn't realise it was regarded as a bad film.
No, I like it as well. But I did say earlier, I really like bad films too. So it's hard sometimes for me to know, because I'll be like, this is great. And some of my friends are like, yeah, but you like bad films, Claire. Like, oh, shut up.
Oh, I mean, speaking of though, one of the things we do ask though, Claire, is because Batman and Robin so reviled as one of the worst films ever made. We asked the guests what the worst movie they've ever seen is. So I don't know if it's going to be more of a challenge for you if you're like, well, I've seen the worst film I've ever seen. I thought it was the best film I've ever seen.
I do find it a challenge, actually. I've been racking my brains because you mentioned having a think about it. And I mean, in some ways you could say something like Birdemic or even The Room, which I know that, you know, I love it, don't get me wrong, but come on, it's bad as well. But but I sort of thought about Mean Girls too. I don't know if you've seen that, but it's bad.
I have seen Mean Girls too.
I didn't even know there was a 2.
Yeah. Well, you watch it and you're like, oh, yeah, maybe it's made by the people who did the first one. And no.
Oh, no.
I think the only cast member who crosses over is like the principal.
The principal, that's right.
Oh, no.
And the plot is different. At least they haven't just done the same plot over again or gone the other gender way round or something. But it's terrible. Bad. Just don't bother.
Don't even bother, like, in a funny way.
No.
Oh.
I was shocked, actually. I watched for the first time the other night, The Rage, Carrie 2.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
It's awful. But it was also, like, it was kind of like a retread of Carrie, but they just took out all the kind of stakes of it. Like, she doesn't seem to have that bad a life. And, like, a couple people are kind of picking on her, I guess. Like, there's no... Like that, the first Carrie's so emotionally charged because you feel for her so much and stuff. This one's like, I guess like he's having kind of a crap time, yeah. And like, but that's a surprise too, like how stacked the cast is. Like Mina Savari's in it, it's Eddie K. Thomas.
Well, again, if someone says to you, "We're going to make a sequel to Carrie," it's like I don't even care if it's bad. I'm going to be in it.
Yeah,
I'll do it. Sign me up.
TV Cher Horowitz. Rachel Blanchard, she's in it. She's one of the bullies. But even the bullies aren't all that bad in it. They're kind of assholes, I guess. Yeah, but like they're not as like hateful as like John Travolta and stuff was. And And yeah, but apparently, though, the biggest revelation from doing it is George Hendricks, former guest of the show, messaged to say, "Oh, I'm in that."
Yeah.
I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, I'm in the Rage Carry too.
You can't really see him, but I don't care. It's fantastic.
That's still classic.
But it was like, even at the end of that, though, because at least at the end, you get a bunch of people getting killed, which is, horribly late 90s, early CGI ways. That's more entertaining than Mean Girls 2.
Oh.
Mean Girls 2 is just nothing. There's just nothing going on.
I think I chose well. The only other thing I could think of was American Psycho 2. That is bad too.
That's also in the same vein, though, of like, it's a sequel. A sequel, kinda, but there's like, I think the beginning of American Psycho 2 is her killing Patrick Bateman when she's a kid.
Yeah, he's supposed to be cutting up her babysitter or something, and then she attacks him with an ice pick.
Oh, is it a woman in this one?
It's just Mila Kunis as like
Mila Kunis.
as another American, but there's none of like the whole point of American Psycho is that it's a satire on yuppie culture.
Yeah,
like it's not so much about the killings as it is about like his emotional state in order for him to do the killings is because he's become so dehumanized because of the the society he's within and stuff. And it's none of that.
No,
American Psycho.
It wasn't even supposed to be that, was it? It was actually a different script, but they basically just went, let's slap American Psycho on it, by adding in that bit at the beginning. It does have William Shatner in it, though.
Oh my God.
So it is worth a watch for William Shatner being in it with Mila Kunis. So
see, I always saw, past tense, a poster or a box cover for that one movie, American Mary.
Oh,
and I always thought, is that meant to be like an American Psycho sort of a situation? Is that what they're going for?
American Mary it's a good movie, but it's a messed up movie.
But is that what it's trying to be? Like, oh, it's a bit like American Psycho, but
not
see, I don't know because I've not seen it, but it looked like that's what they were doing.
Yeah, that didn't really get American. Like, they've gone to been like killers and stuff, but like she's kind of doing. It's Catherine Isabel, Margot Verger from Hannibal, and Ginger from Ginger Snaps. But yeah, she's almost doing it in a Selena Kyle and Batman Returns kind of way of getting back at the men who wronged her, like that kind of thing. But it's a messed up movie, American.
Hey, I don't mind messed up. I like Hard Candy. That's a messed up movie.
But it's actually Catherine Isabel though also a good choice for Poison Ivy. She's got the red hair. Mm-hmm. She's got American Mary in her belt. So she's like, well,
she could pull it off, I reckon.
Yeah. But also, Claire, we do also ask about because a lot of people also love Batman and Robin. We ask the guest if there's a movie that's generally considered to be bad that you will defend to the death.
I've got two.
Oh.
And they're fairly obvious choices, really, but they're gold. Waterworld.
Oh, okay. Not as bad as people say.
I love it. And Super Mario Bros.
Hey!
Oh, yeah.
Love it. Absolutely love it.
That's one of those that if you want a Mario movie, it's terrible. But if you just want a fun adventure, it's great.
I think, I've said that a couple of times. If you were to take off the Super Mario Brothers name, people would fondly remember that. It's like, it was like a really weird, warped, dark kids movie from back in the day.
Exactly. I think I just accepted it. I didn't sort of try and place all of the burden of Super Mario onto it too much. I'm just, okay, Bob Hoskins, yes. Dennis Hopper, yes. Like,
I think the casting is great.
Yeah. Lance Henriksen showing up at the last second. Like, oh, but apparently he's in this too now.
John Leguizamo, always good.
Yeah. I just love it. And dinosaurs, you can't go wrong with dinosaurs.
Yeah. I think that was my major fandom in early 1993 is like I was all about dinosaurs because of the Super Mario Brothers movie. And then people are like, you didn't hear about this Jurassic Park movie that's coming out? I was like, Jurassic Park? Give me more Mario Brothers.
Oh, see, I was already into dinosaurs like every kid was. And then Jurassic Park came out, so I just lost my mind. This is the greatest thing that's ever happened in the world.
But also was Super Mario Brothers, and what was your other choice, Claire? Waterworld. Although you should know that they're not doing it minute by minute. I think they're doing it 2 minutes at a time. But there is a Waterworld minutes. Waterworld H2O.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Rick and Julia. So if you're ever in need of a podcast, those guys are rolling.
I just love it. I know obviously they spent too much money on it, but it's just something about it that just captures me.
I get that.
I think I love like a bit of apocalypse, post-apocalyptic stuff always gets me, I think.
Plus, like, even if it's not the greatest movie of all time, okay, fine. But it's also far from the worst movie I've ever seen. I don't get these people, it's the biggest disasters. Is it though? Really?
Yeah, it's entertaining. It's got a different sort of, it's usually deserts or something. This is all water. There's a cool ship that boat thing he has. That's cool craft.
Mad Max on the water. Cool.
Yeah. There's sort of some steampunks bad guys, like.
Although, don't think I haven't noticed, Claire, that Dennis Hopper is in both of these movies.
I was waiting for you to say this.
Secretly, you just like Dennis Hopper, like.
That's who you think is sexy, not Arnold Schwarzenegger.
He's a great bad guy, though, isn't he? He's great. Speed is also a really good film.
But yeah, I think I'm all noted out though for minute 117. Have you guys got anything else for 117, or are we ready to roll?
No, I think I'm good. The only thing I wanted to say was I love how it ended just on him saying "not." I thought.
Oh yeah, we did. I talked all about that at the beginning, and then we didn't talk about it here. Just with his, when she's going, he loves me not, he loves me, and Freeze finishes the line. He hates her.
Yeah, that's gonna be like. Well, I've been watching this movie Wayne's World since I got here.
Not.
Game on. They say that at 1.2.
Maybe he doesn't understand though, a bit like Borat when he's like, it is black nut.
Swing. I love that movie. Then Austin Powers comes out and says, no
crossover time. But no, that is great. Thank you for bringing that up, because I can't believe we didn't discuss that.
You're welcome.
But we will depart into the dark, dark night. Do you have anything to promote, Claire, other than rats? Anything you want. It can be something connected to you, or it can just be another cool animal. Dinosaurs.
Yeah, dinosaurs are great. And so is Warworld and Super Mario Bros. Watch it, guys.
Hey, check all of that out. And speak to us as usual on Facebook at the Bat Minute Listeners Cave, on Twitter at Bat Minute, Instagram the Bat Minute, because some scumbag took the proper one, and check out the Sleepy Charlie Media Patreon for more wonderful bonus content. And we'll be back on Monday with new episodes and a new guest. Ooh, who will it be? You'll have to tune in. See you then, Batmites.
Next time, an icy odd couple. The convicted consort of Contagion learns a cold lesson in cohabitation as Freeze breezes in for some criminal cross-pollination. Ivy gets a raw deal and is marked for termination by her roomie, but can a revived valet make the day at Wayne Manor seem significantly less gloomy? A butler bounces back next week. Alfred aficionados. Same Bat Pod, different Bat Minute.
We'll be back.